What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad would be T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Let's do this. Yo, let's get into this. Romans chapter 14, verse 16 says, "Therefore, do not let your good be evil spoken of, or be spoken of as evil." Now, I said that to say this. Recently, two NFL cornerbacks, Quentin Dunbar and DeAndre Baker, have been accused of robbing some guys at a card game. Now, mind you, here's what the eyewitness says. An eyewitness said that Dunbar and Baker lost $70,000
$70,000
in card games.
That's a lot of lossage.
They were suspected of stealing an $18,000 Rolex, a $25,000 Hublot watch, and $7,000 in cash. That's still only 50 grand.
Right.
You still ain't, where's that other 25 or 20? Where's that other 20 that you lost?
Yeah.
And so, now here's what's really crazy to me. Again, there's nothing illegal about gambling. You can gamble. Vegas has been making a grip of gambling.
For years.
So you gambling is up to you. You can gamble on anything you want. You can gamble on one-on-one basketball if you want to. You can gamble on, horse races. You can
Cards,
gamble on
dice,
cards, golf, whatever you want to gamble on, you can gamble. You can pitch pennies if you want.
Right. Waging a bet is not illegal.
It's not illegal. So what they're doing isn't illegal. But where it goes into letting your good be evil spoken of is this account was tweeted out by the Miramar, Florida Police Department. They put, they tweeted it out there. They said, hey, these guys have been accused of, so they were presumed guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
Versus innocent until proven guilty.
Because not only did they accused of stealing this stuff, didn't they say they had guns too? It was an armed robbery?
Right. That during the game, they just pulled out their guns and said, hey, give me your stuff. And then they left.
Break yourself, fool.
Right. Break yourself. Hey, listen, it's a simple robbery. Let's not turn this into a homicide. And then they said after they stole their stuff, they left in Ferraris, Benzes, and Beamers.
Where did the discrepancy come in with the eyewitness, who I'm presuming was there at the party,
right,
and the police department? After that came out, because I know it's been all over the news, these players, one of them was a first-round draft pick, and these guys, social media's been going crazy, talking about, here you idolize these sports players, and they're a bunch of thugs, et cetera, et cetera. When did the eyewitness who was there come out saying, hey, wait a minute, those weren't even, that's not really what happened? Or
that was said by the ones who got robbed.
The actual victims?
The actual victims, it wasn't them too.
So the actual victims have said that, hey, the robbery that took place, it did take place, but these football players that are being accused were not the perpetrators of this crime.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So what's really amazing to me is this. Now, some cynical people may say, well, maybe they paid them to say that. So now, how much more did they lose? So you got 50 grand back of the 70 you lost. Then you had to pay another 100 grand for them to say it wasn't y'all.
Yeah.
This is getting weirder and weirder and more unbelievable and more unbelievable. It's almost like that actor that accused people of robbing him. Sullet or something like that. An actor that said,
Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, that cat.
What did Dave Chappelle call him? Juicy Smollett?
Right, Juicy Smollett. Right.
Yes,
like, bro, how you gonna tell somebody you've been robbed and you got receipts on all the stuff you bought to be robbed with?
Exactly. I think this it speaks to a couple different things that is out of order. Number one, if the accusations that have been put out against these players, because it has gone viral, if those were unsubstantiated accusations, that is terrible, because the Bible also says is a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So their good name has been tarnished by these accusations. So if it wasn't them, that's totally out of order for this character assassination. Number two, for the league, the NFL, we're coming off the coronavirus and things are starting to incrementally open back up as far as society. Right. Professional sports starting to get back into the mix. I think NASCAR is doing their thing. They're going to be maybe one of the first ones that's going to be coming out.
Three NBA franchises have opened up their practice facilities.
Major League Baseball is talking about, hey, bringing some games back maybe in July with no fans. So stuff is starting to come back. And as we are on the cusp of the return to quote-unquote normal, we get this hit that the NFL has with some of their, players. That's not a good look for the league. And not to mention the victims that had this stuff stolen from them at this social gathering, a party in Miami. You think glitz and glamour and all the, fun and 80 degrees. Now you just got jacked. So that's not cool either. So the situation is foul. So hopefully the rightful perpetrators will be identified and brought to justice. Individuals that were victims of this are able to recover their merchandise relatively intact, if not completely made whole. And these players, if this wasn't them, they are fully exonerated and their good names can be restored.
And if they're fully exonerated, then what do you think should happen to that police department that tweeted that out?
There should be some level of penalty, sanction, and if there are individuals who were the ones that were so-called on the scene and the ones that actually did the physical tweeting themselves, they should face some sort of penalty, some sort of restitution or suspension, something, because you just don't do that kind of character assassination, man, without any repercussions at all.
Because, again, you're here to protect and serve, not expose.
Yeah, and exploit.
Oh, my goodness.
And falsely accuse if it turns out that was the case. Right. Now, if the guys did it, and hey, man, the players did do it, and the police Twitter or blotter or whatever it's called was legit, hey, then, you did the crime, you got to do the time. However, if they didn't do it, you can't just go around, randomly falsely accusing people either.
But here's the one thing I'm seeing with this, though. And then we'll go on from here. Okay, why did you do you tweet everything that happens? Or did you just tweet this? Do you tweet every traffic stop? Do you tweet every jaywalk? Do you tweet every drunken,
See, now you're teetering on ulterior motive.
Right. That's my thing. Why did you tweet this when you don't tweet everything else? Why was this tweetable, but, you busting somebody up on the beach for not when they shouldn't be there. Right. That wasn't tweeted.
Or the use of excessive force when a traffic stop with somebody. You don't tweet that out either.
Right. You don't tweet, I had to put somebody in the restraining hold. That's not tweeted. So to me, that's where you shouldn't have put it out there, because if you're not putting everything out there, then you shouldn't be able to put anything out there.
Gotcha. Uniform standard of operation.
Right. Now, let's just switch to a much happier, funner note. I saw this. ESPN put out the best handles in NBA history.
What are handles for those listening that don't quite understand what that is?
A high level of dribbling skills.
Thank you, sir.
So in that, here's what they put down. Coming in at number 10, CP3, Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. Coming in at number 9, Zeke, Isaiah Thomas. Coming in at 8, one of the smallest NBA players ever, Muggsy Bogues. Mm-hmm. Coming in at 7, Buckets, Jamal Crawford. Mm-hmm. Coming in at 6, Jason Williams, a.k.a. White Chocolate. Coming in at number 5, Bob Cousy. Number 4, Steph Curry. Number 3, K.I., Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Pistol, Pete Maravich. And number 1, A.I., a.k.a. Bubba Chuck,
Mr.
Allen Iverson.
The answer.
Now, do we want to go in who wasn't mentioned, or we just want to talk about these?
Let's see who was left off that list.
Left off that list, and this is who I put on the list. Mm-hmm. The Big O, Oscar Robertson. Obviously, you had to have some handles if you only dribbled with one hand and you weren't getting ripped. You're dribbling with a right hand, and everybody knows you're going to dribble with your right hand.
No, your left hand tied behind your back.
Right. That's not needed for me to get a triple-double on you.
That's a
I'm going to do all. You're going to ask for so many rights. You're going to be, can I please get a left? But he wasn't mentioned. Next, Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a.k.a. Chris Jackson.
Wow.
This man had the ability to get his shot off on anybody, anywhere, and he did it off the dribble.
The original Steph Curry, who was only listed at 6 feet, but might actually be 5'11 and a half.
Oh, my goodness.
And could dunk with 2 hands. He caught an alley-oop dunk at LSU against Georgetown. 2 hands. Flushed it. Cold.
Mahmoud.
Uh-huh.
Not mentioned.
Not mentioned.
John Stockton. How are you going to be the assist leader, which means you have the ball in your hand, and you not be mentioned for having handles?
All-time in the NBA, all-time assist leader, as Pastor Skip has mentioned. He also, low-key, is the all-time steals leader in the NBA as well.
Right. And not mentioned with you having handles.
Not mentioned.
That means the ball was in your hand all the time for you to lead the league in assists.
I'll throw this little asterisk in there. Maybe what the listing creator had in mind was ability to do tricks and stuff with the basketball, as opposed to just the amount of time you have it in your hand without having any turnovers, which still qualifies as solid handles.
Solid handles. Mm-hmm. Another guy, going old school, Vernon, Earl, the Pearl, Monroe.
How many of you all didn't know his first name was Vernon? Raise your hand.
Right.
Uh-huh.
You just thought his name was Earl.
Yes, sir. All these years. You never know what you might get here
you know you cold
into his court.
When you get named after your middle name.
Yes, sir.
Here's another one to me that really shocked me. Mm-hmm. And that is God Shamgod. Yeah, but he never played in the league. Yeah, he did. He played 20 games for the Wizards. Mm-hmm. But his move that he created is being used internationally, nationally. Everybody from who's played after him has his move in their repertoire.
For the benefit of the listening audience, can you give them an audible description of what the God Shamgod move is?
God Shamgod his move is he's running full speed, and while he's running full speed,
let me add this in. You're running full speed. Imagine yourself running full speed. You're dribbling the ball with your right hand because you're a right-handed dribbler.
Right.
Go ahead.
He throws the ball out in front of him, and as he's running one way, he snatches it back with his left and goes in a different direction, which leaves you thinking, because he still has his footwork looking like he's still going right, he snatches the ball with the left and goes to the left. Leaves you still going right. Now, he had variations of that move. He had the one-handed right hand, he would do it with the same hand. he would do it and throw it behind his back. He'd do that move. He would do the move and go through his legs and go around the back. There was like 4 variations of the move. Everybody on the best handles list used the move that played after he played.
And they usually use the move when they are in a must-get-a-bucket type situation because the move is that lethal that you put it in your bag of tricks. So for the creator of that move, which was innovative in and of itself, to have 4 variations of that innovative, cutting-edge, still being used today move, that means that was a heck of a move. I would say something else, but I'm saved, and this is gospel radio. But you know what I'm trying to say on that move tip, adjectively.
Right.
Thank you.
And his handles were so well that I think Dallas hired him as a coach to teach ball handling.
Ball handling coach.
What else do we say about that guy? So listen, I'm gonna let you do your list.
Okay.
Where do you see this as a top 10 ball handlers? Again, this is our opinion. Say our.
Our.
You get your opinion when you get the mic.
And when you get the mic, say yours, right? But this isn't yours right now. This is ours.
Right.
So just roll with us. Don't hate, appreciate.
Like Facebook says, whenever you play music, I don't own the rights to this music.
Right. You don't own the rights to these opinions.
Right.
We do, because they're ours.
They're ours.
Right on, right on.
So go ahead, PT.
So I got a little reshuffling of that listing and might even have a name or two that might not have been on that list. I'll go number 10. I'm going to put an honorable mention because I don't really know exactly where to put him yet after Pastor Skip just gave that, dissertation on God, Sham God. So I got an asterisk of honorable mention to be placed later, God, Sham God.
Right.
Number 10, I have a tie between Kemba Walker and Chris Mahmoud Abdul Rauf Jackson.
Right.
Chris Jackson not only had a shot that was as money as Steph Curry's was, a smaller guy, like I said, about 5'11". And he's from Gulfport, Mississippi. Right. Not necessarily known as a basketball hotbed to those outside of Mississippi, although they've had a number of players come from that state, quiet as kept. I got a brother that stays in Greenville, Mississippi. What's up, Troy? Troy Middleton. Bam. So that's my tie. Kemba Walker, because he got a killer crossover too that'll make you fall down. And Chris Jackson tied, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Number 9, I got CP3. Number 8, I have Jamal Crawford. Up from him, Jay Will. Next up on that list, Allen Iverson. Next up on that list, Pistol Pete Maravich. Now, Pistol Pete, he played a little bit before my time. I was a younger kid, maybe 5, 6 when he was really kind of playing. But I've watched some tapes of Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete was a wizard with that peel. And I think he averaged like 40+ a year when he was in college and another 25 when he went to the NBA.
Right.
So, Pistol Pete, much respect to you. The top 4 I have. Number 4, I got Tim Hardaway.
Right.
Mr. Crossover.
The UTEP two-step.
The UTEP two-step. That fella there. Number 3, I got Steph Curry. Now, Steph Curry has been really, really working on his ball handling skills, and I know even back from his days at Davidson, he was known as a shooter, and, we know if we love us for his three-point basket, bang! Bang! Okay, that's Steph Curry got some handles, too. And I give handle respect to people who are right-hand dominant but really can do things strong with their offhand, the left, or if you're left-hand dominant, can do things strong with your right hand. So Steph Curry is there. My top 2, Isaiah Thomas, the original Isaiah Thomas, Zeke, the Detroit Pistons bad boy, Indiana Hoosier, that one. And number 1, I got Kyrie Irving. And the reason why I have these 2, up until Kyrie Irving came into the league, Isaiah Thomas, to me, could pat that pill like nobody else. And he was one of the first players that I saw in the NBA do kind of street ball stuff, go between his legs and do little moves and just shake and bake, all that kind of stuff.
Skip to my Lou.
Skip to my Rayford Austin. I will put him with God, Sham God as well. Another and one street ball legend who came into the NBA, one of the only ones that were able to make that transition relatively smoothly and stuck around for a number of seasons in the NBA and contributed legitimately. Now, the reason why this is important is because in organized basketball, you have street ball, that stuff that's played on playgrounds across the country, and now you have all this AAU stuff that might qualify as some street ball too. But street ball, I'm talking about in the purest sense, kind of like hip-hop and rap, not necessarily the same thing. Hip-hop is the pure from the heart part of it. Anyway, I digress. Street ball is jokers that's outside on the playground doing stuff. They got the crowd saying, ooh, you see, ooh. And
playground
face,
legends.
That kind of stuff. Face getting all scrunched up like, ooh, you see, ooh. Jokers getting all that. That's street ball. Now, what happens oftentimes with organized basketball, those that are played indoors and in a league and some sort of organized sport thingy, is that a lot of players are discouraged from doing that. Matter of fact, they'll be told by coaches, don't do that street stuff. Don't do that street stuff. Right. You're more encouraged to do fundamentals. And the reason why coaches tend to do that is sometimes the guys can have turnovers trying to be too fancy, and they want you to protect the ball. Now, when you have a guy that can do that fancy stuff and has minimal turnovers, he just is that skilled that he can be razzle-dazzle, shake and bake, cross you over, go behind his back, between his legs, God you, spin on you, and finish with his offhand. That joker cold. And if you trying to corral that, you are a hater. Cut it out. So Isaiah Thomas was the first guy that could do that. Kyrie Irving came into the league, and I saw him do what Isaiah Thomas was doing, plus a little more, because Isaiah would normally still finish with his right hand. He had another signature move that was a playground legend move. He'd come down on a fast break, and he would throw the ball up under his offhand, alley-oop to himself, and finish with a layup. That's another move that guys have been doing for years. He started that, or the first one I saw do it. Kyrie Irving, and for those of you all who sitting at your chair or seated wherever you are, man, what you don't know what you're talking about. Go back to the 2016 NBA championship when LeBron and them came back from 1-3 down and beat the Golden State Warriors. Kyrie Irving put on a ball-handling clinic, and he was being held most of that series by a first-team all-defensive player, Klay Thompson, who was 6'7", and he's only 6'2", 6'3". He was getting his shot at will. A couple times he even finished with his offhand after being fouled by Draymond Green, and we know what kind of hard fouls Draymond Green be giving. So if you don't agree with me, that's cool. We can agree to disagree. I don't even care. But go and watch the tape, the highlights of the 2016 NBA Finals, Cleveland versus Golden State, and you will see. And the reason why this is in the championship series, he's at the elbow with his left hand dribbling, being defended against, takes it behind his back, not off a fast break. I'm talking about a half-court set offense, Pastor Skip. Right. Brought it behind his back to his right hand, still got a defender. Now he's in the paint, then do a turnaround, spin around, man, and a fadeaway J offhand. That's handles, bruh. He did that, and he was doing it all series long. Right. That mean that joker is cold. And to me, again, our opinion, he's number one.
Yeah. I think there's another one that really should have been and should be in the top one or two. It's Magic. It's Magic Johnson, because you 6'8" and ain't getting ripped.
Yeah. And whatever you lack in going between your legs and off and behind your back, your passes, your fancy, no-look, razzle-dazzle passes almost count as a handle themselves.
Exactly. So Magic is another cat that's not considered someone who has handles, but what is his assist to turnover ratio? You know, he wasn't turning the ball over. At 6'9", and you had 6'1", 6'2s holding him.
Yeah.
And couldn't steal it from him.
And running a fast break virtually your whole career.
Right. So I like that. I like your list, but check this out. So Slam Magazine posted, who should be on the Mount Rushmore of handles? You said your top four would be
Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry, and Tim Hardaway.
Mine would probably be Magic, Isaiah,
Kyrie, and whoever else you want.
Man, that's hard. Because I want to give some cats this era some.
It's.
So I would have to give it Kyrie. Kyrie has crazy handles. But, to me, Jamal Crawford isn't looked at as one of the top 4 best ball handlers. When that cat would give you 50 a night too.
Yeah.
And most of his shots, his points, was off the dribble.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to go top 4 for me, but Jamal Crawford would definitely be in my top 4 and he had the ability to finish. Because I'm just one of them players, I'm a basketball purist. I don't want to see a $500 move and a $2 finish.
Right. Right.
I don't want to see that. And so often you see these guys do these crazy moves. Oh, that was so cold, and miss the layup.
Right.
Or miss the shot. Or miss the pass. It's the completion that makes you top to me. It's not just the move, it's the finishing. It has to be a finishing move.
Understood. And that's a very, very valid point. I think the knock against Jamal Crawford, and this is something that's subtle and it's covert and not overt. When he was at Michigan, he was a point guard at Michigan. When he came into the league, he got moved to shooting guard because he can shoot so well. He never necessarily left his ball handling skills, but he was more seen as a scorer and used in that fashion, a la Vinnie Johnson, the microwave from Detroit Pistons fame. And it wasn't until, I'll say, as far as my notice, maybe the last 5 or 6 years when you've seen different highlights and different mixtapes and stuff like that, that people highlight Jamal Crawford's ball handling skills. Because up until then, most of his career, he was just known as a guy who could finish, who could come in, get hot instantly, and he had a jumper, and he could hit from deep. That was more his calling card or what he was known for than his ball handling skills. And his ball handling skills, I thought, had been underrated for a while up until relatively recently.
I think for me, and I agree with what you're saying, but what I would see is how he got to the bucket. And how he got to the bucket was everything to me. I'm like, this cat is getting to the bucket, and it doesn't matter who's in front of you.
At will.
You're like, listen, how many points we need? I'll get you this quick 8 right quick.
Let me handle that for you.
Right. Well, anyway, another great show. Thanks for hanging with us. We will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be all squatted up. We'll see you next week, man. We missed you, bruh.
Come on
we'll
back.
see you next week. So listen, 7 to 7:30 every Tuesday night. Joy 1340 AM, 98.7 FM. Also, check us out on YouTube and Facebook, Into His Courts. Until next week, have an amazing week. Peace.